Ghulam, thank you again for joining me in conversation. Now, I am providing assistance through my campaign, Trail to Transformation Hiking for Hope and Healing, to you and a few other service providers who are helping people make critical decisions in their life and recover from trauma, grief, and those things that kind of just get us stuck. Now,
Mm.
I love what you're doing, and I've been a supporter of yours for quite some time. But I really need to know, who exactly are you helping? What does that person look like? What is their typical pain points? And quite frankly, how do you get them through the process of healing?
So, let me see how I can summarize this. So, people who generally tend to get to me have tried many things and they're really not coping very well in life. I had somebody recently who, when she came to me, she said, I don't know, you know, how to get through this. I've tried everything I can, but I just sometimes feel like life's just not worth living. I just miss, she lost her father, and she had feelings of regret and guilt because she hadn't been able to see him before he died. And then, unbeknown to her, she had other grief events because people tend to think that grief is just about death. But actually, every time somebody is dealing with something where there's an end to something or there's a significant change in a familiar pattern of behavior, it can produce feelings of loss and grief. And so she'd had a number of other things that had happened during growing up, which actually she was still carrying, and they'd been stacking one on top of another. So it was really sad to hear that, her say, I get up and I go through the motions, but really a lot of the time I just feel like I don't really want to be here, but I've got children and I've got responsibilities. And so I force myself. But it's just like she'd lost her sense of hope and joy, and she was just feeling very stuck. And so she represents a number of people who something very significant has happened and it's triggered off other past events, and they're just feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes they can't see a way out. It's a bit like if you're not very good at dealing with mazes, you're stuck in this maze of grief going around and there's no exit sign, and you just feel like you're lost in there. Sometimes I've had people come to me after they've lost parents or children, or they've had a breakup, a romantic breakup, when somebody, they thought they were going to marry them and then it didn't turn out. Or there's been other events at work where they've been either made they didn't get the promotion they were hoping to get, and they felt unfairly treated, that they were overlooked. So it can be a whole range of things, but generally the person is feeling stuck. I had one person who had lost two children under very tragic circumstances. And for 3 or 4 years, she tried counseling and various things and just hadn't really made the progress. So she'd actually turned to drink, and that was becoming a problem. And she'd actually approached a friend of mine who's an alcohol coach. And when she heard her story, she said, I think underlying your issues actually is unresolved grief. So why don't you work with Ghulam first? And then if that doesn't sort out your alcohol and things, then. And it was really, really painful for her because she was so ridden with guilt, that maybe if she hadn't had the children, they wouldn't have died such horrendous deaths and so on. So once we actually identified the unresolved issues she was struggling with and worked through them, she was actually able to be fully sort of more present now rather than lost in the past of guilt and regrets. The saddest part was that she had other children who were still alive, but she hadn't been able to really be there for them because she was so caught up in the past and feelings of regret and guilt. Yeah, so it's such a privilege actually to be able to teach people the right knowledge that they need, because often we don't talk about grief. People don't understand how it works and how you can get stuck and how to move forward. And then in the course we teach specific tools that help you to review your life, review your relationships, and then to be able to resolve the unresolved things, deliver the undelivered communication, so that you can actually make peace with your past, be more fully in the present, and then able to actually create a future and start thinking about a new vision for your life. So it's such a privilege to be able to help people.
Ghulam, thank you so much.